Dear Prime Minister Bettel, dear Commissioner Hahn, dear CEO Julie Becker, distinguished guests in this room and those watching online, it is a great honor to welcome you to the Luxembourg Stock Exchange today. We are gathered to an extraordinary ring the bell ceremony to mark the listing of the European Commission's inaugural Green Bond as part of its NextGenerationEU Recovery Fund. This issuance and this listing marks a remarkable milestone not just for Europe, but it also gives a strong signal internationally and a considerable boost to sustainable finance as a whole. In this ceremony, we'll hear precious insights from the CEO of the Luxembourg Stock Exchange, Ms. Julie Becker, European Commissioner for Budget and Administration, Mr. Johannes Hahn, and a Prime Minister of Luxembourg, Mr. Xavier Bettel, before we gather around the bell for a traditional stock exchange moment of celebration. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome on stage the CEO of the Luxembourg Stock Exchange and founder of the Luxembourg Green Exchange, Ms. Julie Becker.
Prime Minister Bettel, Commissioner Hahn, distinguished guests, it's a real honor to welcome you to the Luxembourg Stock Exchange at this historic occasion. Let me extend also a warm welcome to our invitees watching us online today, and thank you for your interest in sustainable finance. Today is a day of many firsts. We will mark the listing of the European Commission's inaugural Green Bond. This 12 billion euro Green Bond is, moreover, the largest Green Bond ever issued. It is the first of what could amount to a total of 250 billion euro of green bonds to be issued by the European Commission over the next 5 years as part of its European NextGenerationEU Recovery Fund. And this ambitious plan will undoubtedly make the EU the world's largest issuer of green bonds. Today, as Laetitia Hammond just mentioned, it is an extraordinary day for the Luxembourg Stock Exchange. It's a great privilege to serve as a listing venue for this record-breaking green bond, and we are so proud to be part of this important story. As expected, this green bond was met with overwhelming support from investors and was 11 times oversubscribed. This goes to show yet again that more and more investors care about the impact of their investments in our society and on our planet. And this has led to an uptick in sustainable securities. According to Bloomberg estimates, new sustainable debt issuance may reach $1 trillion in 2021 alone. Think about it. 1 trillion for a single year. The European Union is, of course, making a significant contribution to this important milestone. But with a booming green bond market, what is extremely important is to preserve market integrity and make sure that the funds are spent as promised. Transparency is key. And with its European Green Bond Framework released last month, the European Commission commits to providing both an allocation and an externally reviewed impact report for its green investments, providing investors with maximum transparency, and this is essential for sustainable finance to continue to grow. Last month, we celebrated the 5-year anniversary of the Luxembourg Green Exchange, or LGX, the world's leading platform for sustainable securities. Today, LGX counts 1,100 green, social, sustainability, and sustainability-linked bonds issued by 210 issuers from 44 countries. And together, they have raised more than 570 billion euro for specific green and social projects and sustainable development across the world. Included in this are the social bonds issued by the European Commission under the EU SURE program to protect employment in member states against the COVID-19 pandemic effects. And as many of you remember, I'm sure, we had the great pleasure to mark the listing of the EU's first social bond in this very room, together with Prime Minister Bettel and Commissioner Hahn 12 months ago. Today, we are adding the European Commission's first green bond on LGX, a bond which will accelerate the climate transition and support environmental objectives across Europe. The mission that led us to establish LGX 5 years ago is as relevant and as important as ever. Together, we need to decarbonize our economy and make it more inclusive. We need to ensure a prosperous and just transition. We need to transform finance and make it part of the solution to our global challenges. And with this inaugural green bond and all the green bonds that will follow, the European Union is rising to the challenge and taking a leading role in sustainable finance. It is providing a significant boost in the sustainable finance market. It is accelerating the energy transition and supporting climate-related research and innovation. But what we are celebrating today is much more than a record-breaking green bond and the entry of the European Union into the green bond market. The real cause of celebration today is what this funding means for the green transition across Europe, for climate transition, for biodiversity, for progress towards our global goals. In 2 weeks, governments, companies, and institutions will gather at the COP26 in Glasgow to define what the world needs to do to curb global warming. As market operators, exchanges play a crucial role in redirecting capital flows into companies and projects that contribute significantly to these global climate objectives. Exchanges have a duty to act. And at the Luxembourg Stock Exchange, we all take this responsibility to heart. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the European Commission and all the teams involved in this successful transaction for this landmark shift to the green finance. We support and appreciate the EU's green agenda and the leading role it plays in sustainable finance. And this is just the beginning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Julie. And now it is with much honor that I would like to call upon European Commissioner for Budget and Administration, Mr. Johannes Hahn. Commissioner Hahn, the floor is yours.
Prime Minister, Excellencies, first and foremost, thank you for the invitation, and I hope I can keep it rather short because Julie already said a lot which I consider important, and maybe some additional comments. First, indeed, it was a great pleasure to be here already a year ago with the first listing of our SURE bonds. It was indeed the beginning of something, but the more important thing was, and I would also like to use the opportunity to thank Prime Minister Bettel as a member of the European Council for the strong, bold, and may I say quick reaction to the crisis triggered by the pandemic. Remember 12, 13 years ago when we had the financial and economic crisis, it took the European Union almost 2 years to react properly. This time, it took us only a couple of weeks, maybe 4 or 5 months, that there was a final agreement about how to react, what to provide in terms of financial means. And the first reaction was where the so-called SURE bonds, where we initiated support to member states, in particular those who didn't have what we call short-time unemployment schemes or employment schemes. And this was a huge success. We raised almost 100 billion for that purpose and could help many European member states. Altogether, 31 million people, 2 million companies. And I consider this one of the elements why we recovered apparently so fast from this crisis, or we in a good, so to say, performance, because this unemployment scheme helped keeping people in companies and making them immediately available once the situation has improved. So this was a first proof of the strong intervention, positive intervention by the European Union. And now the second step, the second more important step even, is NextGenerationEU. And NextGenerationEU is helping countries, member states, to recover, but not only to recover, but to become even more resilient and to use this opportunity. And part of this NextGenerationEU, where we will finally raise up to 800 million euro at the capital market by issuing bonds, will be the issuance of green bonds. Approximately 1/3 is our intention. And it's not about breaking records. I have here a long list, and it was already said how many records we have broken and where we are the number one and so on and so on. It's great. But I have to say the main purpose is to serve our people, to help our people. Helping our people means helping the economy, helping the climate, and this is what counts, to help our people, and not only the people in Europe, but also the people all around the world. This is why we, the Europeans, are by far the ones who are providing the most vaccine also to people outside Europe. So far, 1 billion till today. And we will do so in the future because it's a pandemic, and pandemic means it affects the whole planet. And in order to extinguish, may I say, this pandemic, we have to address it everywhere. And doing so, it also helps us, the Europeans, to protect our European way of life. And doing all this, issuing green bonds, is serving our political priorities, is on top of our agenda to address the climate change, but also to invest in digitalization. And this is why I'm grateful for all the joint efforts we have done together. And I really would like to thank also the Luxembourg Stock Exchange for all your support. You have given us in the past couple of months, and I'm pretty sure this will be the case also in the future, because at least for the next 5 years, we have to continue what we have started today. And the reaction at the capital market about the issuance of green bonds is a very positive one, not only because of the oversubscription, but also of the, let's say, greening or the better conditions we could raise at the market. And it's another proof how attractive and how interested the market is on such kind of bonds. And may I say finally, it's not only the European Commission doing this, but also many of our member states. Already 11 have done it. Another 3, as far as I know, have already indicated to do this. So it's another proof that Europe is spearheading this and really contributing to better living conditions around the globe, because the climate doesn't know borders, doesn't distinguish between continents, and that's why we, the Europeans, have to go ahead. And I'm grateful that we can do it also here from Luxembourg. And again, thank you for this excellent cooperation with Luxembourg, with the Stock Exchange. And yeah, I think I can wish only all of us only the best for the future. Thank you very much. And enjoy our bonds. Take it, buy it, but sell it, and create more and even better liquidity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hahn, for your precious insights. And now I am pleased to introduce our last speaker, Prime Minister of Luxembourg, Xavier Bettel. Prime Minister, thank you for honoring us with your presence today. The floor is yours.
Hopla. Technical questions? So, dear Commissioner, dear Madame Becker, and it's the first time I'm officially here since you took over as CEO, also the Luxembourg Stock Exchange. So I wish you also all the best, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear followers on screen, on TV, or I don't know, on tablets, on phones, etc., etc. So this is more than just a post-COVID recovery program today. Sure, it is supposed to finance Europe's recovery from the coronavirus crisis and its consequences, but it's also an opportunity to build back better after the crisis and to use the means that we have decided to give ourselves to make Europe healthier, greener, and also more digital. A Europe that is fit, in fact, for the next generation. Following the guidelines of the European Commission, Luxembourg has made sustainability the main theme of its own national recovery and resilience plan. In Luxembourg, we do not only support the digital and the green transition, we even wish to accelerate it. Accordingly to the share of investments contributing to efforts to fight climate change amounts to 61% in our LPP, which is well above the 37% threshold required. Regarding the digital investment, 32% of the total envelope is dedicated to the digitalization of the economy, and the minimum threshold being 20%. So high ambitions need to be financed. And the Next Generation EU program is a record financial package which relies on a combination of funding instruments. I'm very pleased that the Luxembourg Financial Center, and more specifically the Luxembourg Stock Exchange, is a companion of the Commission also in this context, as highlighted by the first bonds listing under the Next Generation EU program in June this year. Today, this listing of the first Next Generation EU Green Bond is yet another milestone of this partnership. This bond represents the world's largest green bond issuance ever, allowing sustainable finance to progressively grow also in scale. And as you said it before, and I think that the picture says all. We need to do it also for the next generation. And when we speak about green finance, when we speak about climate, we should know that, I would say even 5-6 years ago, for a lot of us, climate change was at the other end of the world. It was images we saw on TV. Or it might be in 100 years, in 50 years. And when they do prediction, always the specialist was also, yes, but this will be later and later. No, it is today. And it's also here. The climate problems we had in Luxembourg were here. When we had the problems of rains, of floods, of tornadoes. That's something. We spoke years ago about century floods. We have yearly floods today. So we should not put it on the agenda. We have to do action today. And we know that we need finance to reduce the risks for climate change, as well as also environmental risk, who could be also social risks, also in close future. We should never forget that point too. And we need more of green finance. And we are ambitious enough. My hope would be that all finance will be sustainable finance, also in a near future. By I speak about supporters of sustainable finance. I mean the young generation. I mean everybody else who worries, as I just said before, about the future. And I also mean an increasing number of investors who have understood that we should understand that finance and sustainability are not enemies. It's not water and fire. It's a contrary. It's making it stronger. And the green economy, the green finance is the future. And it shouldn't be say it's history or it's possible. No, it's a fact. It is not exclusive one or the other. I think it's both together, which makes it bigger. And when I say we, it's also the Luxembourgish government who have recognized also very early the potential of sustainable finance. And for many years now, we put great effort into promoting sustainable finance. And when I remember 15 years ago, Together with the private sector, we have created LuxFlag, an agency awarding a visible label to investment vehicles that are responsible. That was at that moment the first step in the right direction. We have also worked with the European Investment Bank and set up the Climate Finance Platform, a trust fund to finance high-impact climate action projects. We have also created the Climate Fund Incubator, the International Climate Finance Accelerator, to help start up climate fund managers to grow. We have done this together with the private sector, again, because we know we need together to work as a public and a private sector in the same direction. Last year, we have furthermore reduced the subscription tax for sustainable investment funds, aligned with the EU taxonomy. Above all, for many years now, Luxembourg has spoken up at many occasions at national and international level to express how much we believe in sustainable finance and also how we support it. And you have been always, as Luxembourg Stock Exchange, a very valuable partner to the Luxembourg government all along. And you have been a front runner when I see that the first ever edition, the European Investment Bank's Climate Awareness Bond in 2007, also here. And since then, the Luxembourg Stock Exchange and its specific Green Exchange has become the leading venue for this asset class, as well for social and sustainability bonds. And I really want to congratulate you as being at the head, but all your team, because I know that it's a teamwork who was able to have all these successes. Dear Commissioner Hahn, I really want to thank you also and the Commission for all the decisions that we were able to have together. As you said in the Council, it's not always easy in the Council to find common positions, but we need for specific situations, specific rules. And I think this was the strength of Europe. You said about to recover. When you first introduced the recovery plan, a lot of people said, oh, how is it going to do? The figures are clear. The figures are clear. Europe is recovering. And the figures of the national economics shows that the investment in persons and in the economy were important. Not only in one or the other. It was important. And you were here 12 months ago, or a few months ago, when it was in June, I think, last year, or September, but it was last year we were together for a more social bonds. Today it's a green bonds. I don't know what will be the next bonds we are going to launch in Luxembourg in a few months. But for me, it is just the fact that we have to know the plus-value of the European Union. We were able to have a common response from this COVID crisis, which was in no budget, no one country had prepared the budget. We were able to support each other, to show solidarity. It was not always easy, as I said before, even by buying masks, by buying material. But we showed that without the European Union today, we wouldn't be in the situation we are, and we wouldn't have recovered as fast as we are. And we should not forget, and I have a council on Thursday and Friday, that European Union is built on rules. It's been on values. And we have to respect them. So I have to tell you directly that for me, one of the pillars of the European Union is the respect of judiciary decisions. We can speak about rules from one history and everything. It's one thing. But if we go on the backbone of the Union to discuss about respecting decisions from the EU institutions, then we have a problem of the mechanism and the architecture of the European Union. But we should not forget, I belong to a generation, I never lived a war situation. And I was able to live in peace and to grow up in peace and to be elected democratically. This is never granted. And so we should fight for this European spirit. I know it was not in my speech, but you have to know that with what I read the last days about the European Union, you have here also not only a lawyer of the Luxembourg Stock Exchange, not only about the green finances, but also about the values and the plus-value of a strong European Union. So thank you very much for your presence. Thank you very much for your leadership. And you can count on Luxembourg. Here you have a true European friend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Now the moment has come to gather around the bell. May I ask CEO Julie Becker, Commissioner Hahn, Prime Minister Bettel, and Mr. Wagner, Chairman of the Board of Directors, to join us.
Bien. Xavier.
Et alors, si on se rapproche plus, il faut mettre les masques. Je fais comme ça, voilà.
Who is counting?
3, 2, 1.
Allez, maintenant Frank, iets mee, comme ça portera.
Dat klinkt mij schelo.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
With that, we will close this official ceremony. Please remember that the Luxembourg Stock Exchange and LGX will continue to help you reorientate capital flows towards sustainable projects and foster the transition to low carbon and inclusive economy. Thank you very much, and take care.